All right, sports show on this YouTube. Going over some NFL playoffs. Also, a ton of coaching shit going on here with Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, the Alabama head coaching job. Getting all that stuff as we got a loaded NFL podcast going on here today. Also, make a little note here. We are recording this basically the start of the Pittsburgh Steelers playoff game. So, really won't be able to touch on that as it is going on right now. But let's do it. Let's just start with the NFL playoffs. The Lions, oh no! The Lions squeak out a win against Matthew Stafford and the Rams finally getting that damn playoff win. Can you believe that was the first playoff game at Ford Field?
Yeah, it's wild.
Right, as long as that stadium's open, it just shows you how bad this damn team's been. But Jared Goff was damn near perfect against his team. Light it up out there. So many quarterbacks, a lot of good performances too. I think C.J. Stroud, and I forgot the other one. I think Jordan Love, right at the top of my head, had a damn near perfect quarterback.
Yeah, they were both fantastic.
Yeah, 158 points.
Texans are on one, man. I don't want to play them right now.
Dude, we were talking early in the year before Stroud had that injury. He was my MVP. I think at one point he only had one interception to like 25 touchdowns or some crazy shit like that.
He better be rookie of the year. Come on.
I think that's a lock, but who knows? I thought Hutchinson had the defensive one last year before it was Sauce Gardner took it. But Lions, moving on here. Thank God the Cowboys went down. Talk about some fucking karma coming back to bite you in the ass. But Lions will be hosting a playoff game. The winner of Tampa Bay and Philadelphia. Out of these teams, if you're a Lions fan, which I think you are, who do you want to face out of this matchup between Tampa Bay and Philadelphia?
Who cares? They're going to beat them both.
Oh, look at that. Arrogant Lions.
Eagles are playing.
Plus one win, and we're just, yes. I agree, though. I think Tampa.
The Eagles are playing dog shit football, and Tampa's not a good team. I'm sorry. Neither of those teams are going to go into Ford Field and beat the Lions. They're not.
Yeah, I agree. And we talked about, I think, actually, probably 3 or 4 weeks during the podcast. The Lions' home field advantage is a huge, huge thing for this team. Able to secure it. Dallas obviously losing, like we mentioned, getting blown out about Green Bay. We'll touch on that here in a little bit, too. But, yeah, Lions. I mean, Tampa Bay, we knocked them out earlier this season. Philadelphia, this is a team that defensively this year has been awful under Matt Patricia.
Thank you, Matt Patricia.
Yeah, thank you very damn much. And it's just, you got A.J. Brown, I believe, is hurt. Jalen Hurts has been banged up the entire year. Baker Mayfield, though, too, it's kind of been under the radar here unless you're really following Tampa Bay closely, but Mayfield is questionable for the game tonight, so he's not at 100%. So this sets up perfectly for the Lions to at least just walk right up into that NFC Championship game, at least in my damn humble opinion, between these two teams who we're going to be playing the winner of. I would want to see Tampa. I think Philly still does kind of scare me with the pass rush that they can generate, the pass rush, but I think Lions are going to be favored against either one of these teams, right?
Yeah, I would imagine so. Definitely are. Book them into San Fran for the NFC title game.
Right, San Francisco.
I don't think they beat San Fran, but
no, I don't either. I think San Francisco is just a monster of a team defensively, offensively. Yep. They're loaded, but yeah, I think the Lions have a pretty damn good chance here to get to the NFC Championship game. And let's just touch on this one real quick. Philadelphia, Tampa, who do you got winning this one tonight?
Man, it's a tough one for me. I feel like it's a pick 'em because I think either of those teams could win. I think they're both in the same league as far as how decent they are. The Eagles have really fallen off, but you know what? Give me Baker Mayfield.
Ooh, see, I gotta go Philadelphia.
I cannot put a pick on a team that's coached by Matt Patricia on either side of the ball. I just can't do it.
Yeah, but
this is competent coach in the history of the NFL.
Maybe I'm just, I don't know. Maybe just from seeing them all year and how Philadelphia was just really rolling, basically the entire season. I think they were 10-1. I want to say they were 10-1 at one point.
Yeah.
And just the injuries.
Then they lost out a lot of the games.
Yeah, the injuries are really caught up to them. I still got Philadelphia winning this game. I would love to face off against Tampa rather than Philadelphia. And we're just, if like I said, with all the injuries that these teams have, especially the Philadelphia side, it just seems like you just can't fathom from where they were to where they are at this point in the season, how far they've come down. But I still got to go in Philadelphia. in the game. And the Cowboys, man, this is another one I really want to talk about this. Dak Prescott looking awful out there against the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love looking like a damn 5-year veteran in this playoff game. I'm going to check out some of the numbers here if I can find it real quick. Green Bay knocked off Dallas 48-32. My God, what an ass whooping that was. Dak Prescott, 403 yards in the air, but Aaron Jones, really, especially early, was just gashing that Dallas run defense. Kind of undersized, actually, in that linebacker and up front. The Lions did the same thing to him, as we all know what happened at the end of that damn game. But Dallas run defense was just horrible. Green Bay smashing it in there. Who would have thought at this point Green Bay would actually get in the playoffs, let alone get a playoff win against the Cowboys? But do you think Mike McCarthy's gone? Was this the final nail in the coffin for his ass?
I'm shocked he wasn't fired yet. I was fully expecting to wake up today and he was gone.
Yeah,
I wouldn't keep him. What has he done in Dallas? Also, Dak Prescott, can we just say it? He is officially one of the worst playoff quarterbacks of all time. He is awesome in the regular season, but he's just like what were the comps we were texting each other yesterday? Tony Romo, Tua, he just vanishes in the playoffs. He's not a good playoff quarterback, and that team, I hate Dallas because they just shove him down your throat all the time. Jerry Jones didn't execute him at some point. He is. He's not going to tolerate that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think Belichick is a landing spot. I shouldn't say landing spot. Yep. I would say that's who they're going to go after hard. I don't know if they're going to grab him or not because surprisingly, it seems like Atlanta is really hot on Belichick. If I'm Belichick, though, I'm taking Dallas all day, especially with the talent on the defensive side of the ball. I think he would be a difference maker, maybe getting a couple extra wins out there just with the game planning that he does. But Jordan Love, impressive, right? I mean, it kind of goes against the grain that we've had the last decade at this point, where you draft a quarterback and you just rush him out there and you throw him into the fire. Not the old school way. If you look at how Aaron Rodgers was brought up, Steve McNair, a couple names I can't really think off the top of my head. Even Brady to some point, even though that was kind of just a fluke injury that Bledsoe had, they got him in there. But it seems to be sitting on the bench for those 2 or 3 years really helped out Jordan Love's development.
Yeah, and never same. But for some guys, that's what they need. Some guys need that extra bit of tutelage. I mean, look at Goff. He's essentially been a 3-year redemption project for the Lions, and now, he exercised all of his demons. He beat his former coach. He beat Little Matty. I'm sure there's Detroit Rams fans crying in their beer this fucking morning or this afternoon. But some quarterbacks need that, and this is what I said on our last pod about the Lions the Lions fans that said, "Oh, this is just a plus anyways. Next season, to be a monster next year. They're going to be an absolute monster in that division next year. So the Lions got to take this as far as they can and see where they go."
Yeah, I completely agree, man. Very impressive performance by Jordan Love and the run game out there for the Green Bay Packers. Let's slide over to the game that was way earlier in the week. Kind of touch on it real quickly. Did with C.J. Stroud. Unbelievable performance, 158.3 quarterback rating. Lights the hell out. Now, I know you mentioned you don't want to play Houston in the playoffs. That's pretty much moving forward as we only have a few teams left here. Obviously, Baltimore, Kansas City, and Houston. Yeah, Houston, a surprising team, I think, maybe to come out the AFC. I had Miami way back in the beginning as my sleeper team, but get absolutely slaughtered by the Buffalo Bills. But how far do you think C.J. Stroud could take this Houston Texans team in the playoffs?
See where he goes, but I think he could take him to the AFC title game. I'm not a crowning to the Super Bowl. I don't get ahead of myself because there's still a lot of football to be played, but I think he could definitely take him to the AFC title game. I really do. He's playing at a high level. They're coached by a phenomenal coach. They got that hire exactly right. Their defense is playing well too. This is the time of the year where the hot teams are what you want to be. You don't want to be the Eagles who backed into the playoffs. You want to be these guys that are playing really good football right now, and they are. Right, that Hansel's so hot right now. There's these Zoolander. Yeah, it's so hot right now. All right, so let's see, got one more. Miami, man, dropping a damn fucking, I don't know what the hell you want to call it out there in Kansas City, but looked absolutely horrible. Tua.
I don't know if this was that kind of thing with the warm weather teams. Remember Tampa Bay had a lot of problems way back in the day for Tony Dungy anytime they would play in cold weather games, but Tua just looked horrible. The weather had to affect him out there. There was a lot of just short dink and dump passes they were doing where he was absolutely just inaccurate as shit out there. Another bad performance for Tua in a clutch game out there. So how do you think about this Miami team moving forward? Because I think there might be a lot of big changes here. I don't think they're going to move Tua or anything like that at the quarterback position, but that's a team that really has to toughen up on the offensive line and the defensive side of the ball for Miami.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think I really do think you might have to move on from Tua because I don't think he's that guy. To be a successful playoff quarterback, you're going to have to go play in cold weather. That's a concern about Jared Goff too, because he doesn't do that well in outdoor games. He's been a arena quarterback his whole career. So, you're playing in 80 70-degree weather. You go to Kansas City where it was a minus 25 out there or whatever it was.
Fucking wild.
Yeah, it's gonna be a challenge. So yeah, I think Miami's in for some changes. If they I would not fire their coach. I think that would be a terribly stupid idea. Yeah, I think that'd be terribly stupid. But I think Tua's probably not the guy that's going to win you playoff games. So I think you're going to have to figure something out with that. You've got all the weapons, you just can't get it done.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's another team almost like the Lions. I think home field advantage is so important in the NFL playoffs, probably more than any other sport, just because the elements and the crowd noise can really affect you. Look at the Lions game. I think the Rams, off the top of my head, had to probably burn about 2 timeouts that second half just because of crowd noise made it almost impossible to get the snap count off. But yeah, I think definitely some changes coming out there in Miami up front on the defensive side of the ball and on the offensive line. I think that pretty much covers everything for the first round, if I'm not mistaken. And, we could slide over for the matchup tonight. We didn't touch this one. Buffalo squaring off against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Man, Steelers, another team that kind of backed their way into the playoffs. I think Pittsburgh's going to be one of those teams.
They're playing good football.
I think this is one of those teams, though. I think they get in the playoffs and they're getting bounced. Not that Buffalo has done anything, crazy or special this season, but I just don't think Pittsburgh has enough firepower on the offensive side of the ball to hang in these games, but you never know what Josh Allen is going to show up this game, or any Buffalo Bills' entire team for that matter. Do you think Pittsburgh has a chance in this game?
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh wins. I think the Bills are a mess. I think McDermott is going to get whacked. I don't think Josh Allen is a good quarterback. Eric said it. I don't think he's a winner. He's the same thing as Tua and Dak. He's just not a playoff quarterback. They've been so touted the last 3 seasons. Oh, they're going to go Super Bowl. And then at the end of the season comes around and they're not playing great. I think the Steelers go out there and I think they get it done today.
Yeah, something weird happened. Something weird happened with Josh Allen after that playoff game, doesn't it? Or that whole team. It just seems like something really just wasn't clicking from that point on. I know him and Stephon.
They just got deflated.
Yeah, Deflategate. Yeah, something happened, man. I know the relationship with him and Diggs and all that. And they've had a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the ball, but that's not the same team that had just made it to or lost that playoff game against Kansas City just 2 or 3 years.
No, they're not.
Prior to this. You know what? I guess we can touch more on the Lions game if you want to get into this. Detroit Lions exercising their demons, taking out Matthew Stafford, who damn near pulled it off in the end, but the depleted secondary in the cornerback position that the Lions had out there. Do you think Matthew Stafford will stick around in the Rams? Or is he going to stick around long term? Because I just have a feeling that thing's about to get broken up.
Yeah, I think this was kind of because they retooled this year. There's a lot of new players on that Rams team. I don't know the status of his contract or anything. I have no clue how many years he's got. I haven't looked at that, but yeah, because there were rumors McVay was going to retire after last year, weren't there?
He's 40, I think.
Yeah, and then there were rumors that Aaron Donald was going to retire too, and he's not that old either. I think he got an extension though, didn't he, Donald, last year?
Yeah, I think he got a massive contract. Actually, I think he held out or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
But yeah, honestly, for me, if I was a quarterback, I've gotten my Super Bowl. I've solidified my legacy. I've won my my ring. Was like cool, just retire, and it was hilarious with him after the game, the comments that like, what do you think a guy that just lost is going to say about well, what do you think? I'm happy for the team. Okay, cool. What do you think a guy's going to say?
You know what was weird?
I love Detroit. I miss Detroit.
In that presser at the end of the game yesterday with Stafford, it just almost seemed like just the way he was talking, he was satisfied with what he had already done in his career. Like, it didn't seem like that playoff loss was that crushing to him. Do you know what I mean? It just didn't. Like, I think if he had gone to the Rams and hadn't won that Super Bowl, I think this one would have affected him a little bit more. But he seemed cool as a fan at the podium. He didn't really – I don't want to say he didn't seem bothered that they lost, because obviously he was out there trying to win, and he got banged up pretty good on a couple plays there where either his rib or his
he got destroyed towards –
right.
Yeah.
But it didn't seem like he was really that upset about the loss. It was almost like, I got my ring. I'm in my, 16th season. It's kind of time to wind down. I'm going to
very matter of fact
lines here. Yeah, I think he only has another year or two left, because it doesn't seem the fire's there as far as like, damn, we lost. We did everything we could. It was kind of like, yeah, we lost. We played good. So kind of weird.
He was never like that, though. That was always one of my gripes with him when he was with the Lions.
Yeah,
he never had that, like the way Jared Goff is. That was never Stafford. He was the Lions could go get blown out by 30 in the postgame and be like, yeah, it sucks to lose. It's like, where's your fire? And he didn't win that. They didn't win that Super Bowl because of him. That was a phenomenal defense, and they put every weapon in the world around him. Like, it wasn't just him, like Peyton Manning with the Broncos. Like, some of those games when he won that, he willed the Broncos to victory with his arm. Like, sure, Stafford was good, but he wasn't like that. There wasn't like a Tom Brady moment in that Super Bowl. So yeah, you've accomplished it. Hang it up, be successful. You've got 4 kids and an annoying wife.
Yep. All right, let's slide over to the crazy head coaching carousel that's been going on the last week here. Actually, kind of glad we waited as long as we did to do this, because we probably would have missed a couple of these. Pete Carroll out in Seattle, pushed out of Seattle. Bill Belichick pushed out of the New England. A lot of rumors there about him and Mac Jones. That he did not want anything to do with Mac Jones at the end of that season this year. Wanted him gone during the offseason. Was overruled and basically said, fuck it, I'll show you how bad he is. And purposely, some of the things I've been reading, left him in the game, even though when he was having a horrible performance, left Mac Jones in there just to kind of prove a point. Mac Jones.
That's very Belichick.
Was very awful. Nick Saban retires in Alabama. 7 national championships, 6 at Alabama. Unbelievable run. Jim Harbaugh interviewing for the Chargers job. And we got Washington's head coach leaving to go to Alabama, so we'll kind of sort all this out. Let's just start with Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll is, you look at his age, man, doesn't seem like it. I think it's 72, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, he feels like he's in his early 60s still.
Really does. I mean, the guy's won a national championship, been to 2 Super Bowls, pretty much has done it all, pushed out there by that ownership. Once the brother of the owner of Seattle had passed away and inherited the team, it seemed like there's a lot of friction there. Here's an interesting little thought, and I don't think it's going to happen, but with Washington, that opening that they had out there, I really thought that he was going to get that job. Obviously didn't. I think it went to the head coach of Arizona, if I'm not mistaken, for that.
Yeah, Jed Fish.
Right, but Pete Carroll I thought was going to come in there. Where do you think Pete Carroll ends up with a lot of these open coaching positions we have? Like we mentioned, the Chargers, the Bears is going to have the Bears, Dallas. Where do you think Pete Carroll ends up? Do you think he goes back to college or finds his way in the NFL?
He's one of, I think, only 2 coaches to win a Natty and a Super Bowl in the history of
3. You got
football.
You got Barry Switzer, Jimmy Johnson, and Pete Carroll. Yeah.
So just hang it up, dude. You're in your 70s, or maybe he'll go become a executive somewhere but I wouldn't just pick him up. I just wouldn't. I'm not signing a 72-year-old to a 5-year deal. The guy could be. I mean, I'm not trying to be, you know.
Well, I don't think he's Joe Biden 72. I think he still has a lot of.
No, he's not.
I
think. But I wouldn't sign him.
I think if you're a long-term team that's rebuilding, obviously Pete Carroll's not going to be part of that. But a team like Dallas, if you don't land Bill Belichick, I think Pete Carroll will be your next move. I think he's got another 2 or 3 years left in him. I really do. And
that's fair.
He's always done a good job building the secondary wherever he's gone. I mean, you look what he was doing out there in Seattle when they pushed him out with Tariq Warwick, and they drafted that corner out of Illinois. I can't remember, Witherspoon, if I'm not mistaken. So he's done a good job building teams, and especially on that secondary side of the ball. I think if Bill Belichick isn't available, that's his landing spot, I think, for Dallas. Speaking of Belichick.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned, gone in New England. Really, really shocked that Jared Mayo is the head coach out there. You had Nick Vrabel available. Shit, you even had McDaniels available. Was really not expecting it to go to Mayo, but from what I was reading, too, it was actually written in his contract that he would be the one to succeed Bill Belichick, which is just crazy shit. But Jared Mayo taking over New England, obviously a whole new start. You get a little bit of legacy from the Belichick family tree. But Bill Belichick, where do you think he ends up?
Jerry Jones could go after him, I think.
I think the calls are.
I think it's a good landing spot. It wouldn't shock me because Jerry Jones doesn't want the highest price guy, and he and Jerry Jones would be freaking fighting each other every day down there. Those personalities would clash so hard.
I read that book on the Patriots. I think it's called "It's Better to Be Feared." Fucking amazing book. They really get into some in-depth shit with Belichick. He would walk by Bob Kraft and just not say shit, and Kraft would be pissed off. Like, dude, like, hi, how you doing, Bill? Walked right by him, and he would mumble some shit when he walked by. Wow. And he said, I love it. I fucking love it.
He's just a savage, man.
He really is, and that's what I love about him, man. He don't give a fuck. He truly is that last breed of coaches where it don't matter who the fuck you are. He'll call you out in a fucking goddamn team meeting and shit. And he has full authority. I think one of the last coaches left that can, obviously, college coaches have that, and that's starting to go away too. But Bill Belichick, I think he ends up in Dallas. I agree. I think Dallas is a landing spot for him. And if he doesn't get it, like we said before, Pete Carroll, Nick Saban, what a career he had right down in Alabama. This one really came out of nowhere, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he. I had been wondering about him because he was so advanced in age. I've heard rumors that his wife has some health issues. I haven't seen that confirmed, but that would make sense for me if that was the reason. Maybe he can't do what he used to do. He was the one doing the NIL when everyone else couldn't legally do it. But I think that's most all of your old school coaches gone. I think the last one's going to be Harbaugh. I think he leaves for the NFL finally. All these old school coaches aren't going to be hanging around. This college football product is about to fall on its ass too, because this NIL isn't sustainable.
Yeah, I agree,
not.
Man, and I do think that's the reason why Saban did leave. That was part of it. I mean, like we've talked about many times at this point. I mean, these kids are asking $15,000 to $20,000 just to come in for a fucking recruiting visit. It's really getting out of hand at this point with it. And I think a lot of these old timers like Saban and stuff, they don't want to deal with that shit. They really don't. But yeah,
why would they?
Yeah, good career for Saban, being replaced by the Washington Huskies head coach, sliding right in there. Do you think he's going to have a lot of success out there in Bama?
No, I would not. I would not want to follow Nick Saban out there. I think that's a 3 years and you're done. Because the thing with a job like that, they don't give you any grace. If you don't win immediately, the next year you're fired. That's just how the Alabama job is. And in this day and age, I've been looking at. There's a guy I follow, Hayes Fawcett, on Twitter. He posts like half that team's left. They lost like all their wide receivers. They're all gone. So, I mean, Jonathan Smith came into state and recruited on short notice before signing day. But this signing day's already gone. Like now at least early signing day. Now you're into this kind of weird spot. Like Alabama's going to be terrible next year.
Yeah,
And
I think
the SEC is just getting harder. Texas is back, and they're in the SEC next year.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think we're going to be entering a weird kind of landscape of college football. I don't think we're going to have dominant teams anymore. I don't think you're going to see a team, 3 or 4 straight playoff years getting into the college football playoff. I just don't. There's just going to be way too much competition out there now, and you got everybody jumbled up in 2 conferences in the SEC and Big Ten. I don't see any dominating teams. I don't see it being just Michigan and Ohio State anymore. You're going to have a USC, an Oregon, a Washington that's going to give Michigan and Ohio State probably 3 or 4 losses every year. I think those days of teams going 15-0, 14-1, that shit's gone. You're going to be getting killed within your own conference. You're going to have a lot of teams probably ranked number 1 or 2 in the country with 2 or 3 losses, which is nuts, but I really think that's the direction we're heading. You're not going to be able to sustain a dominance, I think, like Michigan, Ohio State, Bama has been able to do the last, decade or so. And, I mean, look at Clemson. Look how hard Clemson's fallen off. And they had a pretty good run. Florida State as well. But I think these days of these fucking teams having a 5 or 6 or 7 year runner, that shit's gone. That shit's out the fucking window.
It's going to be a lot tougher with, your playing field is a little bit more level now, I guess. But there's just so much more in the game that, like, I think that Michigan winning this natty is probably the last. It's like when State won that last Rose Bowl, that was the last of the real Rose Bowls. And now it's the same way with this. It's the last of the real national titles. And now from here on out, it's going to be way different. Yep. And I think the sport's going to get less and less watchable too, personally.
Yeah, I agree. It's a slow downward spiral, I think, in college football. And, a lot of these guys who stick around for junior and senior years like Corum did, like Penix did, and Penix did transfer, so this may kind of go against my point. But I don't think you're going to see that. I don't think you're going to see guys wait on the bench, get their turn to play. They're going to do transfer. Cool. You got a 4 or 5 star recruit. Well, if he's not playing, he's gone next year. I think that's what's going to happen. You're going to see guys not wait till their junior or senior year to make an impact. They're going to go somewhere else. Kind of like what's happened to college basketball with sophomores just bouncing out,
Yeah, it's college basketball is objectively a terrible product to watch, and college football's getting there. I'm excited about State with Smith, but I'm under no illusion that this new product is going to be that great at all. I'm personally happy. Like if my school is a 8 to 10 win school, like I think that's new normal. The undefeateds is going to be harder because you can't do the cupcake schedules anymore when you have that many teams in the conference. You got to play all conference games.
Yeah, college football / NFL podcast here. Enjoy the playoffs. We will see y'all later. Peace.